You're on.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the November 24th, 2025 budget meeting for Timberlane Regional School District. Could we call the board roll?
Sabrina Alberg. Here. Peter Below.
I'm here.
Catherine Consalvo. Here. Julie Hammond.
Here.
Katie Knutson. Here. Liz Costa.
Here.
Sheila Lowe's.
Here.
Sue Sherman.
She'll be excused.
Brian Smith.
Here.
Karen White.
She is excused. Can we stand for the pledge, please? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We all had an opportunity to review the minutes.
I do have a question.
Okay.
I looked at it, but I do have a question. The third motion. Scratch. I read it wrong.
Okay. Thanks. That was easy. All right.
I'll make a motion to accept the meeting minutes from November 13th.
We have a motion to accept last meeting's minutes. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
And we have a second by Sabrina Alberg. All those in favor? 5. Opposed, abstained, 2. I've not received correspondence, neither has the superintendent or the business administrator. Delegates and individuals. Mr. Sapia, you're up first.
Say that such a smiling face.
Hey, it's been a great day.
Well, it's budget season at Timberlane. Thank you, Madam Chair. So I kind of have this message for you guys as well as the community at large. The chatter out there right now is there are two trains of thought on what the budget should be. I have one group calling me up, wanting to just rip it apart, for lack of a better term, make it as streamlined as possible. I have another group that wants to fund and have everything you possibly could have under the sun. I think the general consensus is the side that shows up with one more person than the other side at deliberative session is gonna take the day. I would suggest that if that happens, both sides lose. And more importantly, I think the kids lose. Our job here is to provide an education, and your job is, I don't have to tell you, is to fund that education as efficiently and as effectively as possible. Last year I sat around and listened to a whole bunch of disinformation. I still do. So the information that is out there to the general public sometimes is skewed. And it's up to you guys to, you don't even have to ferret through it because you know what it is. So I just, hopefully the public understands this is supposed to be a collaborative effort where we come to consensus on what the values of our community are. Because there is a lot at stake here, right? We don't wanna see a single kid go without. On the other hand, there are some realities. We don't want anyone opening up a $10,000 increase in their taxes. That's, even though that's unpalatable, I think, for everyone in the district. So it is what it is. Thank you for your time and good luck this year putting together a good budget. Thank you.
Thank you, Jack. Next, we have Mr. Springer.
I think I'm gonna echo quite a few things that Jack has said. And just right out of the gate, I mean, you folks know that my wife is on school board, and I'm simply gonna say, she has a lot of skill sets that I don't have, and we don't always agree on many things. And to start with, she's a heck of a lot more patient than I am. And I waited about as long as I can to come to the budget committee, waiting to see even though people have spoken to me and said, you know, you should go down there and say something. I'm not sure why I'm always the guy who's told to go do this, but anyway. Currently, from what I see, we have a default budget of 92 million, roughly. Proposed budget of 94, roughly. Current budget of 83, roughly. One of the things Jack keyed on is critically important. This is an amazing opportunity for you all to get this right. Right now, it's not going right. Everything Jack said is correct. If we continue, this is a slow motion train wreck at deliberative again, and we know we can avoid it. So I'm going to be offering some of these observations and some criticisms, but I also at the end of this want to offer some solutions. If I get close to my time, please let me know. I really don't want to be cut off, and if it does happen, I might ask if somebody else would loan me their time for a moment to finish up. We need to learn from recent history, and essentially, the public doesn't really understand one critical thing that you do. And I'm going to ask you in every possible situation, social, on the web, anything, coffee shop, you name it. I'm going to ask you all right now, more than might have occurred in the recent past, to really take responsibility for saying, we, the budget committee, need to produce a budget. The school board doesn't do that, can't do that, and can't fix it at the end either. So the school board technically, you know, the default is what they've got, right? But the default versus the proposed budget, I want to draw an analogy here, which sounds really strange, but think about it for a minute. I want all of you here today to consider going home from the meeting and not look through your windshield, just use your rearview mirror. And you're all gonna end up in a ditch, right? Well, that's what we're doing with the default budget. The default budget this is for the public, help them understand. The default budget doesn't allow you any discretion on where the various pieces of money and amounts are placed. It doesn't work from actual recent history as far as what we actually spent. It takes the beginning year budget from a year or so ago and by automatic calculations per state law builds a new budget. That's insane. At the very least, what the budget committee what we need to do is to, at the very minimum, have the proposed budget be, even if it's to the penny, the same as the default budget. So at least we can determine where these dollars need to go, not some formula from the state. So I'm going to touch a third rail here as a suggestion on how you might attack some other areas. I've heard a number of people, including Justin a few weeks ago, propose some things to cut. And I haven't heard any really serious, truly serious consideration of these items. They're not comfortable. None of these are comfortable. I'm going to touch the third rail, special ed, all right? And I'm going to do that not because I favor or disfavor special ed, but because it's a third rail item, I want people to pay attention. Let's consider how that situation has been handled over the last few years. Essentially, here's the deal. We put money in contract services, we put money in positions we want to fill. Throughout the year, most of the money gets shifted from positions we'd like to fill into contract services. Now, I understand why that happens. Lots of uncertainty with children coming in and out of the school system, et cetera. I understand that. But it is appearing to the public in that area and others as well, that is a deception. Completely a deception and you can point fingers, they can point fingers, it doesn't matter. It's the appearance. My suggestion is that you take the money and just put it in the contract services. We have the track record, we know what's going on. Put it where it belongs in the beginning in your proposed budget. It may not be a nice number, but do it anyway. And do the same thing with a lot of other items, because we are well beyond the point where you don't have the time anymore to consider the $10,000 items. You need to be looking at $2, $1, $3 million items. And that's where the public's at. And Jack is right. I've heard numbers of over 100 million some people want. That's not going to fly. We're going to end up with $83 million again. That's not fair to anybody in the administration or our employees. We must give them some stability in the budget. Please, I'll conclude with this. Please help people understand that, hey, we're responsible for this. We, the budget committee. We are the ones that need to wrestle with this. Please come talk to us, like you're letting me talk with you now. Do not let the public run on the misconception that it's the administration or the superintendent or the school board or just the budget committee, because the budget committee can bring everybody else in. So, I'll sit here and take a question or two if anybody wants to. Otherwise, I'll wrap up. It's per the chair.
We are, actually, this is just for delegates and individuals, but I took notes on what you said.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, and you only went over by a couple minutes.
Good. I
So-
appreciate you giving me that forbearance.
You're welcome. Mr. Freeman, come on up. You're all set? Okay.
I was back up.
You were the backup plan? You were the backup
think I
singer
was-
tonight.
my bus on the way here.
I'm gonna say one thing.
Okay, come on up.
Listen, guys, I wouldn't want your job, but I'm on the other side too. Wife and I moved here in 21. We got a welcome mat of a $2,400 tax increase shoved down our throat. Okay? I started coming to the meetings to learn and understand. Okay? I see a lot I like. I see a lot I don't like. What I'm asking you guys is, number one, I have something that's bothering me. It's shoving kindergarten down. Why don't you guys first master this budget? Get it to where the kids get the best education they can for the money that we're spending. Then come to us for kindergarten. Okay? That's a no-brainer for me. Please, knock it off, figure out the budget. We only have, I'm at a fixed income now. I have no more money to give you guys. Okay? Do I want to? Yeah. I'm at the stage of my life I got grandkids. I've been through the kids. I put myself into the parents today that are bringing their kids to school. One thing I've learned too, it's always about the budget. I haven't heard one thing about, I've heard some good things that Timberlane's doing. Okay? But I really haven't got a chance to see the curriculum at all. So I'm looking at the dollars we're spending, and I still don't know the curriculum, so I'll get there. Okay? And hopefully that brings me closer with you guys. But I do thank you for what you're doing. I wouldn't want to do it. Okay? But I am upset. Okay? Because financially, it more than hurts. It's a life-changing situation for some of us. Okay? I didn't come here to deal with this. I came here to retire, relax, move to Danville, beautiful small town. I go to the Danville meetings. I agree with most of what they're doing because they're trying to keep, bang for the buck. Okay? Let's give the kids a bang for the buck. Master first grade to 12th grade. Get that down. We're giving them the best education for the money that's costing. Then come to the public for anything else. Thank you. I'm not good at speaking. I get nervous.
It's okay, you did well. All right. Anybody else? All right. Thank you all for voicing your concerns and opinions. Next is our administrative report.
Yeah, I'm going to be really brief tonight, Liz, because I know we've got two other kind of substantial presentations. But just to remind the Budget Committee, we're at a proposed budget right now at about $92 million. And I reminded you the last meeting, and we presented to the school board this past meeting, the default budget. And that number currently stands at $90.5 million. At the last school board meeting, we had not only the summary of the default, but the complete itemization of the default budget, including the one-time expenditures that were removed from it. You could certainly furnish those materials to the Budget Committee. I've got two things on the agenda tonight. This committee had asked through a Budget Committee member request to get kindergarten on the agenda. So I'm going to run through the same cost presentation that was to the school board. It's the same presentation I've shared with you before, but we're here for discussion tonight and maybe context. Again, that is going to be the motivation of the school board, and they had voted the last meeting to seek out the viable pathway for that. That is going to be a warrant article that they'll put forward to voters at the cost item that I'll show you tonight, and remind this group again that would need 3/5 in March to pass as it seeks to change the articles of agreement. And then second tonight, Liz, I'm going to be presenting 9 to 10 kind of buckets with a lot more detail and cost figures from last meeting that we had talked through, bring some scenarios and some estimates for the reductions that the committee could consider to move forward.
Okay,
That's it.
All right.
Okay.
Reports of committees. Any budget committee members have CIP information? Okay, and school board, we have nothing, so now we're gonna get down to new business. Full day kindergarten planning.
All right, so I'll start there, and Liz, what I'm gonna do is just sit here. It's just easier for me to see the screen, and I can engage with you folks when we get to some conversation. And I get to use the clicker, which is always an adventure, so please bear with me.
Been a problem for 12 years.
Yeah, that clicker's been a problem for way over a decade.
The clicker?
Oh, no, it's
Always the user. It's always the
been an
user.
issue.
So what you have in front of you and what you've had before is just the kindergarten presentation. This was the second of three that I gave the school board, and this took place on the 6th of November. The three charges here were really a description of our current model. What does Timberlane currently do? What could be the fiscal impact of moving to a full day tuition-free model? Then very quickly at the end, the benefits that will really focus on time that were presented to the board. Really, our current model is two pathways. We have a binary system. We have a tuition-free half-day program, or we have a tuition full-day program that families pay $4,500 to attend a full-day program. In terms of enrollments, these are the last 4 ACT operational years with us. The top left quadrant is the 25-26 year. That's the year we're currently in. The larger number outside each of the rectangles there is the total enrollment of kindergarten over the year. So it gives you a pretty good span of where we've been over the last 4 years, then more detail within the full or half day programs, and then more detail at the school level. In our current model, this is what is currently in our operating budget right now as we exist in fiscal 26. There are 12.5 FTE kindergarten teaching positions to deliver our current programming. There are 12 full-time equivalency kindergarten paraeducators. These are regular education paraprofessionals that are attached to those kindergarten classrooms to support our kindergarten programming.
Just for the sake of the folks in the audience, would you define FTE?
Sure, full-time equivalency. We've got a transportation contract that gets kids to and from school. We support those facilities within the facilities budget that exists. They're also supported through the curriculum and professional learning budgets, which Sandy presented to you, and it's also within the elementary school budgets, which the principals were before you earlier. All of that currently in the operating budget that delivers for the current kindergarten model. If we change the model in fiscal 27, there are 4 things, initially 3 things, and then 4 things I was asking the board to consider. The first thing that's going to happen is that the district is going to lose the tuition revenue it currently generates from families paying tuition to attend a full day program. Second thing would happen, it was gain additional adequacy money during its first year of operation and then every year thereafter. The third thing was need to assess its staffing numbers to see if it would need to add or reduce staff. And then it would need to adjust its transportation numbers, whether it would need to provide midday transportation or not. So here it is in terms of equation getting to the cost. On the left-hand side of the slide, you've got the fiscal year actuals. This is the tuition that Timberlane generated in fiscal 24 and 25. You can see from those given years, there is sometimes a swing. If we projected a total of 240 kindergarten students in fiscal 27, 70 of them we would pull out of that number. And these are conversations we've had with the Department of Education and their finance division. And here's why. Some of those students are going to be half-day K students, and not all of them are coming for full-day K. And then the district also has 3 methods of providing waivers for students who are on free and reduced lunch, special education, and policy within the district for staff. That would leave us with 170 full-day students that are projected next year. If that tuition remained the same, which it hasn't changed here in Timberlane in over, I think, 4 to 5 years, at $4,500, the tuition that we would stand to lose in fiscal 27 is $765,000. The second thing that would happen again is that we would gain adequacy revenue. In fiscal 27, we'd be awarded a one-time non-competitive startup grant for each child for $2,175.50. You'll notice that 170 is the same number that we're using to generate the tuition on the other side. This is because this is what we are informed from the DOE right now, that Timberlane's odd system that we have with a binary system, these are the students that would qualify for that one-time additional adequacy in fiscal 27 to attempt to make districts whole moving forward. In fiscal 28 and thereafter, every kindergarten student that would be here in a full day program would receive full base adequacy. The departments have defined full base adequacy in fiscal 28 as 44.39. Third thing that would happen is we're looking at our staffing capacity. Currently in fiscal 26, I've defined those numbers for you already in terms of staff and students. If we built to a full day model that could build for a capacity of 240 students, we could actually reduce a half-time FTE on the K teacher front. That estimate is about $50,000. I did tell the school board I feel comfortable with that number 240. If you see the NESDEC numbers below, next year would be our crunch year, but every year there, a year after, and from there on out, we're at about 200 or a little over 200 students. I don't think building to 260 and adding a half-day FTE would be the fiscally responsible thing to do currently. Fourth thing that could happen in terms of transportation, currently we provide midday. We provide 4 buses for midday. That's going to be our projected total expense this year. If we went to a full day model, we would not be providing that midday transportation. We wouldn't have a half day program, and the district could look at that as a cost savings. Looking at those numbers and highlights and doing the math problem, if we start in the hole with losing tuition revenue and we add back in the figures we would gain for adequacy, for the reduction of a half-time FTE teacher, and for the cost of transportation, I've informed the board that they could reasonably calculate the cost of FTE at $271.12 moving into the fiscal year. Lastly, what we provided the board to consider as they were having these conversations is time. On the left-hand side, you've got the number of hours a full-day student is in the building in front of teachers and adults. And on the right-hand side, you've got the time that a half-day student, you'll notice it's not exactly cut in half. That was something that we emphasized with them. These are the pieces that we build in. These are the skills, the curriculum development that would allow us for more time. I can have more conversations with you as a committee down the road on this, but wanted to show you the schedules and just really the visual breakdown from a full-time student or a full-time teacher. These are what my day looks like over to the left. And a half-day student or half-day teacher, again, same kind of requirements, and I'm mashing those things into the reduced day, the reduced time that's on the left-hand side. The right-hand side. That's one example that we have in Timberlane, and this is also an additional example. And Liz, I'll pause there. Those were the 3 things that we mapped out. I know it was consideration of the committee, and again, sharing here because this group would eventually vote as a recommendation for the cost item once the school board drafts it and reviews it as a warrant at their next meeting.
I do have one question. The cost that we're going to see to start this, you had the negative, yes, thank you. The 765, so that the 271, is that just a one-time startup cost?
It would be the new cost of kindergarten beginning in fiscal 27 if the board moved to full day K.
That
Okay,
would stay in the budget year after year.
and that number would stay in the budget annually as
Correct.
additional costs?
As the contracts change for those people, but yes,
Alright.
new cost.
So is that all contracted money or supplies and whatnot in there?
No, it's the loss of tuition essentially.
Okay. All right. I'm just trying to get it out there with.
Yeah.
Liz, what I think is really helpful is to, and I think to Sheila's point, she raised a meeting or two ago, this could have been in a conversation. This is what is currently in our operating budget, right?
Okay,
So as we look to say, what are we gonna need for a full day K? And there are things that we don't necessarily need to add,
correct.
but we're gonna be gaining some monies to get there.
Mhm.
That 271 is that difference of what we're gonna lose in tuition revenue and what we gain from those 3 other buckets.
Right.
And that would be the new cost to the district in its first year of operation. Just like a first year of a contract would then move forward as it's negotiated.
And then that will just
But what
be
we're really
built in
talking about-
annually.
Correct. What we're really
Alright.
talking about here is staff.
Okay,
Or what we're really talking about is giving all children in this district an equal opportunity for the same adequate education. So if you look at less than half the amount of time that these half-time kids are
Right.
going there, yeah.
right, and I
So
understand.
we're getting more bang for our buck, as somebody else had mentioned, and making sure that everybody that's entering first grade is prepared instead of
And they're
some
all on
kids
the
that can
same
afford it.
page.
Yeah.
They're all on the same page. Mrs. Lose? Sheila?
Having problems with the math again.
Okay.
All right. So what we're saying is right now that we get 21.75 per kid. Doesn't matter if they're half-time, full-time, that's what we get from the state.
2175 is half adequacy, correct, for kindergarten.
Every kid gets that right now. I'm just making sure it's clear for them. So when we move to, it goes through, and we move to full-time, what you're saying is you can do this on 4351, which is adequacy for all full-time students in year 27. Correct?
I'm saying it will cost the district
I'm not
270.
there yet. I'm getting there.
But that's,
I'm getting there.
I'll follow you.
Promise you, I'm getting there. So we're gonna take in 4351 per student full-time. I'm with you. I rounded it up to 300,000, just for giggles. So I rounded up to
What did you round up to 300,000?
The
the
271?
additional money that's gonna have to go in for these kids. So we're losing all the other money, but we're gonna have to come up with $300,000.
Right here?
The 271.
No, the 271.
271.
Yep.
You're at the all-in cost at the end, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So I took that and I divided it by your 240 kids.
Okay.
Okay. I came up with, which number is that? 1250 per student, per 240, so per student. That's what's added in. You with me? You still with me? Okay.
You're losing me.
I'm trying not to. So if I take the 4351 and I add that 1250 that the district will add into that, correct? You with me? Okay.
You lost me.
I shouldn't have lost you, but okay. That comes up to 6601.
Okay.
Right now, we're getting in 6675 per student, full-time. So I guess my question is, it's actually, we're not actually, because we're gonna have to raise that 300,000 every year, which I don't agree with that number, I think it's higher, but we're gonna put that aside for right now. It can't be done for the 4351. Just can't. For the adequacy money. It cannot be done for that amount.
Sheila, what I think that you are conflating here is cost per pupil
Mhm.
versus new cost to change programming. And if you're interested in cost per pupil, what may be a benefit is to generate the cost per pupil now. So right now, we've got 216 kids enrolled with us,
Mhm.
right? What did I say? We've got 12 and a half FTE teachers. Call that $1.2 million. We've got 12 paraprofessionals. Call that X.
Mhm.
And then facilities, the administrators, and then divide by that. That number is going to be higher
Oh, it's gonna be,
than the tuition we charge to families.
Right.
And it's gonna be higher certainly than the tuition we waive for families. And it's gonna be higher than the
So what you're saying
adequacy
is
we're-
we're already
you
subsidizing
are
this.
already paying for kindergarten as a district, 100%.
Yeah,
That should be.
we're already
It's
subsidizing
the families
this.
in the middle that are missing out, right? So families that have low income are able to go for free,
Well, they
right?
do.
All I
And the
wanted to make
families
clear is
are
just a
higher.
very factual place that Timberlane is supporting kindergarten
Yeah.
in this operational year and has in every operational year in the past.
Well, since it went in,
Yeah,
So let's
since,
give everybody the opportunity to benefit from that.
that's
'Cause-
your opinion.
yeah,
I
'cause-
agree with you. That's
yeah.
your opinion though, but parents have a choice. There might be kids out there that can't do
Don't have a
full-time.
choice. You don't, well, not all parents have a choice.
So, point of order,
If you don't
there's a
have
couple
money
other
for it, you
people
don't have a
that
choice.
wanna-
right, so I'm going to let Sabrina chat,
Mr. Belo.
and I didn't see you, sir, I'm
later.
sorry.
You don't look my way.
You can go first if you want.
No, I was looking to the
It's okay.
conversation list.
You wanna go first?
Your choice. Ladies first.
Just devil's advocate here, just kind of answer these folks here. What I think they want to know for an answer is if we're gonna have 271.12 that we're putting back on the table, right? They want I'm assuming what they're probably thinking right now is, what are we cutting to make that money up, because we're already above budget, is I think probably what they're going for, based off, you know, where they said we have to, you know, where, what was your name again, sorry? Where he was saying, you know, where he was against the kindergarten, I think he was probably wondering if we're taking on this income and we're losing if we're taking on this, that, and we're losing income. He's probably wondering where we're going to take that from. Again, just devil's advocate in both sides, because we can sit here and go back and forth all day.
I'm wondering why we're paying for it now. We're supposed to pay in the first grade, the 12th grade. Why are we paying for it now? It's not in the contract.
Right now, we full day kindergarten is tuition.
And say you were first grade to 12th grade, not kindergarten. Why are we paying now? Is that legal? Are you guys doing something that's not legal?
I'm gonna
I'm
have,
sorry for talking, but I mean,
it's all right, I'm gonna have the superintendent speak to this, because I know I was part of the warrant article a very long time ago, that when it was passed on times 7, that they did it, but I don't remember the nuances of that
I'm
warrant
reflecting-
article
Reflecting
for.
back to very easy math for you, if you just look at staffing,
Mm-hmm,
you just add up the staffing. Timberlane is supporting kindergarten. That should not come as a surprise or
right.
and it's
we-
certainly not deceitful.
Right, there was a warrant article in, let me do the math. Yeah,
16?
2008, there was a warrant article that passed, I believe, that it started in 2009, maybe 2008. The dates are fuzzy,
Damn.
please forgive me, they're fuzzy. And the district voted for part-time kindergarten. So, and it took 7 tries to get that done. So then, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't want to speak out of turn, but then there was the opportunity to have full day kindergarten, which was tuitioned in. And that's all I know, is that there was a tuition piece to that full day, and we paid, yes, sir.
I was asked to bring the cost of full day K
Mhm.
tonight and
You
the
did.
viable
You
pathway
did.
for the school board.
Yep.
Thank you.
Is there any other questions I can ask about the presentation?
Mr. Belo had a comment or a question.
Questions, a couple. So going from this page,
Yes.
so our call it net loss in 2027 would be $271,000.
That would be an accurate statement.
Go to the adequacy page, please.
You're testing me here, Peter.
There,
All right.
perfect. So, okay, now, in 2027, the DOE forecasts, it's DOE forecast, I guess, we will get adequacy aid of 369,000. But in 28, that's
Goes up.
it goes up
Yes.
considerably. So the loss in 2028 and beyond that, assuming the legislature doesn't screw up again somehow on adequacy, is less.
Correct.
To the tune of, I just estimated around $70,000 less per year. Something like that. So the first year is the worst year, if you will, financially, and it gets better a bit going forward. Correct?
Correct.
Thank you.
All right, so does anybody else at the table have any, Mr. Smith?
You'd have full-time kindergarten students at Sandown Central.
Yes, we have full-time kindergarten students now at Sandown Central.
You go to that page, show them how many. One of your opening pages had how many kids in what school. There we go.
70.
There are 57 full-time students at Sandown Central now.
And 13 part.
Liz, if I could go back to one of Peter's things, just
Absolutely.
again, I want to be clear about things here. So Peter, as I think about it, better or worse, like the adequacy has a trend to rise very minimally and incrementally.
Even when the Supreme Court says it has to rise.
So
Yes, I understand.
So that's gonna account for some increase, but if you looked at fiscal '28, and if the school board kept the tuition charge at $4,500, you could see the difference there about how close that adequacy is to the actual tuition. But for each of those tuition students, we'd also be receiving half adequacy. Does that make sense? So if
So
you're
it's like $6,000 for a full-time kid, between tuition and adequacy,
for a
right?
family who's paying and that we collect all the payments from over the course of the year.
Okay.
Yes, don't lose sight of that as well. Which is why you've got this delta at the end of the year for the most part.
Okay.
Liz, anything else I can provide here for?
No, anybody else at the table have a question? Mrs. Consalvo?
So I just like to point out that the one factor that you can't figure out is that like all studies show that full-time kindergarten decreases kids' needs for intervention, which costs money, right? Retention, which costs money for educating them longer. So you can't project those cost savings, right?
No.
So none of that
is not
includes
in the
how much
methodology.
could save the district in the long run.
Which we did not go down.
Okay.
Okay. So I'm just trying to take a beat for a minute, and be appropriate. I'm gonna take questions from the table only. I don't wanna do the back and forth because it sets the wrong precedent for future meetings. And I probably should have stopped Mr. Freeman, but I did not because it was a little heated.
I'm a little upset, I'm sorry.
It's all right, sir. So I just need to bring the decorum back to the table. Any other questions about the full day kindergarten?
I just have one.
Yep.
How many districts do in New Hampshire have full day kindergarten? Are we one of the only ones that don't?
Timberlane is single digits, still with
Like
it out.
three.
It's 3.
Yeah.
I think the last time
And then
that
I
we
think-
landed on it.
I think one of the 3 is actually gonna do a warrant article this year, so then we'd be like one of 2.
Bedford and Londonderry are the newest districts, I believe, to move there.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Julie.
Any other questions, comments, concerns? Okay,
So Liz, just to wrap this, is the intent is to bring the actual language in warrant to the December, first meeting in December of the board, so that will be there for folks. Then eventually, when that is approved there, we'll bring it back here, because by RSA, and we've always done this historically, but RSA this year, this committee will vote in and recommend up or down any cost item warrants as well, so it'll be back before you at some point.
okay, thank you. You're next, sir.
Agenda item 2?
Yeah,
You have a switch of presentations, that.
the other thing, that we should have discussed at the administrator's report, Mr. Krieger, was that the school board was going to be meeting with us on December 11th, not the 15th.
Yeah, I was gonna get to, I
There you
think that's a good way to close this here. All right, so last time was before you, we had some potential reduction, and they were the large kind of bucket items. The request was to bring those back to you this evening and then break them down into more detail. So that's what I intend to do with you tonight. This is a slide from last time and just getting everyone back on the same page. We stand there at $92 million in terms of the proposed budget, against inclusive of the capital reserve. Shared with you last time, it's a total increase of almost $10 million or almost 12%. And I was very clear with the committee last time that the administration recognizes where this stands in contrast to what happened in 2025 with the voted budget, and are concerned about the palpable nature of this as it goes before voters. As we did that, we presented 16 categories of the proposed budget to you that either showed increases or decreases over the previous year's voted budget. And really, in summation, those increases in that $10 million is wrapped up in people at about 7.2 million, transportation at $1 million, and phase 4 of the final phase of the energy efficient project at $1 million. I also presented this, I think, stark question to the committee, or at least reality to the committee last time. The proposed budget that you have for fiscal '27, it supports the current operations of the school district. It's us taking us what we're doing this year and moving it generally into next year. I think that's also borne out by where the default stands versus in comparison to the proposed budget. And this is the question, I think, before the budget committee. If it wishes to reduce the fiscal '27 budget number, then it needs to make determinations that fundamentally change how the district operates in terms of personnel and programming. I think I talked about, I'm not so sure there's fluffing around the edges here. I think there are substantial conversations about value and what the district wishes to pay for. Tonight, I've got two purposes that I do hope leads into a third later on in our calendar. The first is I'm going to identify non-required cost items in the fiscal '27 budget. We're going to be able to identify what they are. And second, I'm going to estimate the cost of each of those non-required items. I do have a note here for this exercise. I want to be very clear that staffing estimates I'm going to provide tonight include three pieces: salary, FICA, and New Hampshire retirement. I hope that this leads to a third phase where we're able to revise these estimates if the budget committee determines to make some reductions. We can get exact cost or savings figures, however you want to look at them. And for that exercise, we will become more acute with our calculations. We'll include health and fringe benefits into those numbers as they become more refined over time. The buckets that are up there that are not on the bottom in blue are the 7 I presented to you last time. And as I wrote to you, we added 2 over the course of the last week and more thinking. Those were open and vacant positions, and then just the general idea of attrition, whether it's in terms of staffing or contracts as our needs change. And I'll map those out for you in order tonight. Transportation. Right now on the left-hand side, you'll currently see where we stand. In fiscal '27, we'd be looking at $541.61 rate per bus. We're contracted for 29 buses a day, 180 days of school year. We'd be looking at a transportation regular education budget of $2.83 million. That's at 1 mile distance, and we currently provide even within a 1 mile distance from schools. If the district decided to move to a minimum distance requirement in the state of New Hampshire, which would be not providing transportation to students who lived 2 miles or closer to school, the district could eliminate 5 regular education buses. You could see the total cost for 24 buses on the right-hand side at $2.34 million. We also run a late bus, or 4 late buses from campus. These are buses from the main campus here that run to each of the communities after clubs and sports and activities. That's a cost of $75,000. So hypothetically, we could look at transportation, and if we move to this restricted distance, and if we eliminated a late bus, the budget committee could have conversations in terms of a transportation cost savings of $565,000. I'm going to pause here because each slide is going to look just like this. I'm going to talk it through in sequence, and then you can see the estimated cost savings in red below. I like to walk through the entire slideshow, and then we can get back to individual slides as people have questions or want to dig into more specifics. We also had a bucket for administration. What I've done at this point is looked on the left-hand side for an average admin position at $150,000. This example here is us moving toward minimum standards, which again is 1 administrator per 500 students in a school building. I am looking at elementary, secondary, and district levels. And this scenario targets 3 average admin positions. It also accompanies the average admin position for the admin assistants that are attached to those positions at $55,000. So the scenario you're seeing here at a reduction in administration would include 3 administrators, 3 admin assistants on average, and that savings would total $615,000. At the elementary level, we took an average teacher position, again, salary, FICA, and benefits only. Salary, FICA, and New Hampshire retirement only at $90,000. If we moved, or the district moved, and this would be a conversation with the school board because it would be in violation of school board policy at this point, but if we moved to the ED 306 class size recommendations, those are in the top chart on the right-hand quadrant for you. Currently, right now, K-2, we have class size policies of 20. ED 306 would allow us to go to 25 in those grade spans. Currently, grades 3 to 5, we have class size policy of 25. ED 306s would allow us to go to one adult with 30 students in grades 3 to 5. At $90,000 for an average teacher, we could eliminate 12 elementary teaching positions for a total of $1.1 million. Back to the left-hand side, we also employ regular education paraprofessionals throughout the district, particularly at the elementary level. We have 41 of them. These are really broken up into 3 distinct groups. There's a regular education paraprofessional in every one of our kindergarten classrooms supporting the learning there. There's a regular education paraprofessional, say that again, at our pre-K levels in every one of those classrooms supporting the learning. Then we have 15 of them that are dispersed throughout our 5 buildings that deliver intervention to students based upon their data results. In this scenario, if we eliminate those 41 people in positions, we'd be looking at an elementary all-in cost savings of $2 million. Extracurricular, we had a bucket last time, and we are primarily breaking that down for you this evening in 3 distinct categories. Top to bottom, athletics comes in at a total of $935,000. What's included in that cost? It would be transportation to all middle and high school games, stipends for all middle and high school sports, 1 admin assistant position, the game expenses, the insurance, and supplies and equipment related to athletic programming. If we move to the second piece there, PAC, music, and theater, there could be a cost savings there of $450,000. What is in that number? Transportation to those events for students, the summer band camps for students, the stipends paid to extracurricular music, theater, and PAC performances, 2 admin assistant positions, summer band experience, extracurricular stipends that are paid after school, the musical at the middle school and high school, and 1 technician position. We also have school-based clubs at the middle and high school. These are typically student-generated. They find an advisor in the building, and the district is able to provide stipends to the staff that serves as advisors. At the middle and high school, together between those, we may run 50 to 60 clubs per year, and that's about $86,000 in stipends. So if this was all in, the district would be looking at $1.47 million in cost savings. We also talked about a capital bucket, 2 main things to present this evening. We have phase 4 of the lease for energy efficiency. That right now is approved by the school board at $844,000. One of the things I broached with the board, and I will share with the budget committee this evening, there's a potential for us to engage Bank of America and see if we can move that actual first payment date to the next fiscal year. Thereby still entering that contract, allowing the district to continue with ordering the parts and continue to work. Perhaps also incurring some more interest, but be able to remove that from the ask this year. That's a potential for you folks to discuss and consider. The other thing to consider is the CIP project list. It's currently approved now at $1.89 million. The 4 projects that would comprise those at 1.75 are there for you to review. This committee could also have as a discussion about the scope of the CIP list in fiscal 27. All in capital, you're looking at $2.7 million. At the secondary level, we've got positions we've identified that again are not required. There are 4 TTA, these are teaching positions that serve as interventionists. These are working with individual or small groups of students based upon their data sets. We also have some unified arts programming that we feel like we could reduce at the middle school level. Class sizes and other unified arts classes would rise. Students would not have options for those targeted areas. But we still feel like we'd be able to meet the needs and not exceed current class size policy at the middle level. If we went in this direction and we eliminated all 6 of those positions, again, salary, FICA, New Hampshire retirement is at $518. We employ a lot of specialists that are not required throughout our school district that serve to learning. On the left-hand side, we'll start. We have library and media specialists. We currently have 6 of them. 1 in each of our operational school buildings. The minimum standard throughout the state of New Hampshire is 1. We could have a reduction there of 5 library and media specialists. We have 4 tech positions that are tech specialists. These are the folks that are responding to the ticket calls from students and staff when there's problems troubleshooting with their computers or the networks. We currently have 4. In this scenario, we move to 2. And then the outcome of that is just the return time on tickets would simply increase for the user. Lastly, the school district moved at my recommendation to having special education facilitators across the district. Currently, we have 5 of them, 1 in each of our elementary schools and 1 working at the secondary school. Again, these positions are not required in this scenario. We just downsize the force there, and we move forward with 3 instead of 5. So moving from 6 librarians to 1, 4 tech specialists to 2, 5 facilitators to 3. That's a potential cost savings of about $805,000. More specialists across the district. On the left-hand side, there are instructional coaches working at the elementary level. We have 6 of them. These positions primarily lead the professional learning communities with our grade level teams. They coach our administrators in curriculum and data assessment, really working with the professionals who then go on and work with students. Looking at music, this is a district position across our district. We employ 12 folks that are dedicated to not only providing required music education, but also elective music education. Looking at our current situation, I think we could reduce there by 2, and therefore be able to still fulfill our requirements, but certainly reduce the amount of electives and extras that families and kids would have access to. Lastly, at the elementary level, we have interventionists similar to what's at the secondary level. There's 3 of them. Again, these are individuals with teaching degrees working with individual or small group students for remediation based on their data sets. Across the board here, if we look to eliminate these specialists, we're looking at a cost savings of $1.07 million. The last 2 slides don't involve any people. We currently have 4 open and vacant teaching positions. We have 1 at the elementary level, we have 1 at the secondary level for PE and health, and we have 2 at the special education level. Considering the tenor of where we are at right now, and as much as I feel like we do need to continue to have special education support in those positions, particularly at our elementary schools, these are positions that we could shed, and there's no people attached to them moving forward, and we would no longer continue to seek them. That's at $355,000. And lastly, an attrition thing to think through. Over on the left-hand side, again, K-5 teaching position, again, the average salary is there, $90,000. If we stayed within class size policy, although class sizes would rise slightly, we wouldn't need to make any drastic change to policy. I think we could still meet it for next year. We could reduce 3 elementary teaching positions at $270,000. And lastly, on the transportation side, regular education transportation, you've seen that rectangle before. That is our current cost in this year, next year for providing 29 regular education buses. Talking with First Student, having conversations with them about where we are in our budget process and where the appetite of voters may be. I think there's an avenue for us to continue to work with them within the current existing contract to exercise our options to reduce by 2 buses and not be able to impact any current routes to students. So we wouldn't remove any current routes or timing for students, but I do think there's a small savings if we wanted to move in that direction and not extend to that 2-mile potential barrier for students and families. All these told, we're looking at $470,000 in cost savings for attrition with positions and transportation. So Liz, next steps. One of the things that not only we'll have discussions tonight, but some of the things we talked about and I've engaged the board about, and you and I had talked about potentially moving up the joint meeting with the school board. Right now it's scheduled on December 15th. The board is absolutely amenable to joining this group on December 11th. They're committed to have a contingent of folks here to kind of help talk through about, let's get to a position where we're putting something forward that we not only believe in is going to serve the needs of the district, but does not have the boomerang effect that I'm a little bit concerned about that I mapped out for you the first time I presented.
Mrs. Lose.
Are you sending that to us?
Yep, as I wrote to you, as soon as we end this meeting, I'll have it
Thank
for
you.
you. As you can imagine, we wanted to be very sure of the numbers that we're putting publicly here as we first begin to think about them. So I do appreciate the time.
As long as we get it thrown back at us so we can look at it a little bit
And
more.
Do we know what the total is for all of those buckets? Did we get a grand total of what the buckets were?
I didn't
I'll
give
get
you a
my
grand total
calculator
because
out.
there's these are obviously about decisions,
Okay,
right? if we wanted to go through and if you wanted to kind of max out what the total is, we could do some real quick math.
If you go back couple of slides, I have the total, but there's couple that you.
Okay, where do you need me to go here?
Now go to the one that has the Liberian Media Assistance,
This
that
one?
one. So that's 575, 260, 490, 96, those two other ones are 130. 94. That is, you have 805 as total for those. What is the 805 coming from?
6 to 1, 4 to 2, 5 to 3. And again, to remind this group that this is not meant,
Oh, okay.
this is not meant as an all-in recommended package for you at all. This is
Right.
outlining for you the non-required
I'm selling my
aspects,
house.
Pick and choose.
the non-required aspects of the school district. You could see some of them that can be locked. You could see where you've got flexibility to make determinations between these pieces.
All right.
One comment.
Yes, sir.
You've used the term non-required
Correct.
numerous times. Not required by state law.
Correct.
Yep.
Doesn't mean that the school board and past budget committees have decided those were required. Okay.
At some point, everything we have, here's how I'd answer that, Peter. At some point, whatever we're currently operating has been voted on and decided it's of value because it's there. And what I'm proposing is that if we move forward with that value, the budget's $92 million. If we wanna talk about values where we don't wanna spend that type of money, this is the formal thing to do.
So the
that.
reason I bring up things like this, Justin,
Yeah.
is because there's a population out there that's gonna misconstrue your words. That's, oh, this isn't required, so just cut the damn thing. Okay? And you gotta be, in my opinion, more precise with the way you phrase things. Okay? Because we as voters have decided this stuff is required. I'm not saying we shouldn't revisit it and look at cutting some of it, but it's like, you can't just add it all up and say, knock off 6 million or whatever this comes out to be.
And Peter, I am extremely precise with my words and I'm choosing non-required on purpose here. It doesn't mean, and I want to be very clear, it doesn't mean that the voters of this community don't have value in them. They clearly do because they've been voted in. My job here was to reflect back, where are the areas that we could go to that are not required by law?
Then add the bylaw
You did.
Understood.
just
Couple
now.
times.
Yeah.
Any other comments, questions, Sabrina?
Hey, you can go. You had your hand up first.
Oh.
Oh,
Go ahead.
thanks. The transportation, if we did the 2
Yes.
miles
Yes.
instead of what we're currently doing, what kind of effect is that gonna have on towns?
It's a good question. We would dig into more of it, but what I understand right now is that we would eliminate 5 bus routes. They would be disproportionate to the towns. 4 routes would be eliminated in Plastow. 1 route would be eliminated in Atkinson. Sandown and Danville would not lose routes, but they would certainly have stops impacted. But those towns would run the same number of buses.
All right.
Yeah, we can create.
Shayla? Did you have a question?
I want him to finish because then when did we add a bus? What bus did we add? Cause we were at 28, now we're at 29.
We're being billed this year for 28 because it is a conversation I had with First Student last year to help us through the budget reduction to adjust to the voted budget.
But next year, we're being billed at 29.
Next
Right
year, right
now.
now, we're projecting that we would, yes,
Okay.
correct.
Where is that bus? What bus is that extra bus?
Right now, it's not running.
But where would it be?
I don't know. I would need to talk to First Student, Sheila, and see where they would assign it. Right now, it's not running, so I don't have a route for it.
Okay, so we're running one less bus.
We run a different number of buses each day.
All right. Because I remember that being said that we
Absolutely.
dropped it. So that's why I was asking that.
All right. Any other comments or questions? I appreciate that you're giving us buckets to look at in the most impactful areas to look at. It's just tossing out a number, which I agree I did last year, I'm sorry. Not really helpful to the process. And I think if we need to be very mindful, as Mr. Springer has stated and Mr. Sapia, we really need to be thoughtful in Mr. Freeman sharing his concerns about taxes, and we really need to be mindful of how we're doing this year. And, you know, we need to have thoughtful, calm conversations. Yes, Sheila?
I did have other ideas though.
Love to hear 'em.
Well, my first one is to lower the transportation line to the actual contractual obligations, which is the 445,004. That's in the default, you have the contractual obligations at 445,004.
That's only for special education.
Okay, so what is the actual contractual obligation?
What is in the proposed budget? So the total that we have
I
for
think
what we
it's-
run right now, whatever is in the proposed budget is the number of buses that we run now for everything, for special education, for regular transportation, for after-school buses, for games, for, let me tell you exactly what is the total amount for.
I just moved to get a pen and Sheila so I
And the
could write
new
down.
rates that we have for.
Could you please
Yep.
send that
Yep.
itemized?
Yep.
Because I didn't come up with 994,000. I didn't even come close to that number. The second thing I wanna ask about is in this year's budget, you put 1,061, no, let me try that again, 1,061,000 into the lease payment. Where's the other million?
That got removed from the base budget, which is this year.
No, it can't, because it's raised and appropriated every year, $2 million specifically for the lease.
No, Sheila, we
Yes.
removed 1 million last year as part of the budget cut. If you look at the
It shouldn't have been
26.
though, because that's raised and appropriated specifically for the lease, Maria.
Yes.
You're not supposed to be able to touch it.
I'm sorry to disagree with that. We're able to do that. It's what we did to help reduce the budget.
But that is why you're adding in 844,000 when you're still getting $2 million next year. Every year we raise and appropriate $2,061,000 for the lease.
Every year, we should be raising and appropriate the actual payment of what the lease is. That's what we should have been doing.
But what we voted on the special warrant was $2,061,000 every year. Correct? For specifically the lease.
And we had a reduced budget at $6.5 million that we needed to find. We did not have a lease payment beyond $1 million last year. It was an obvious recommendation that the school board approved and move forward with that
Okay.
reduction.
So let's just say, I'm gonna let you go on that, but I don't believe you're correct. I'm gonna let that go.
I am correct.
Do you have it in writing, legal?
I don't have it in writing, but we have consulted our legal attorneys and we're very strong in our position.
Okay. I'm gonna make a motion for the chair to direct the superintendent to have legal come into the next meeting in regards to the lease and the payment. Because I believe wholeheartedly that that entire lease payment is raised and appropriated specifically for that person.
I think that would be with the school board and
We have had bonds in the past.
and I understand,
does
but
not get messed
what I
with.
would like to do is ask the superintendent to please just get something written, the written legal opinion, instead of having someone come in here. Our lawyer come in and, you know, spending that money down. I mean, I'm not I'm not comfortable legal coming in to answer a question.
Okay,
One question. But I would recommend that maybe we get a legal document written up with that opinion from last year that is shared with us.
No problem.
Thank you.
however, finishing this conversation now,
Mhm.
where did that other million go? That's that delta, where did that money end up?
It was part of the $6.5 million that was reduced from the budget at the deliberative session. 1 million came from that.
So it just is gone.
Yes,
You
not
didn't
part,
move
it's
it
not in
into
the
any other
budget right
piece,
now.
nothing.
No,
Okay.
it's not part of the budget. If you look at those
So-
two lines, the principal and the interest in the voted budget, they add up to $1,061,000.
Okay. So in the proposed budget, you are adding $844,000 for the lease.
Yes. Which is,
Now, again, we have a warrant article that raises and appropriates $2,061,000 for the lease. So that money would be there to pay the $1,905,114.56 that would be due for phase 4.
so what happens now is now all the $25 million lease will be done, right? So we will have the payment for the 3 phases that
Right.
complete the project.
Correct.
So that will be the final payment that will carry in the budget because the $2,061,000 was an estimate back then of what $25 million was
Understood.
gonna cost us.
Understood.
So now that the phases are completed, except for phase 4, which is an estimate because we haven't actually closed with the bank.
Mhm.
So I used the last interest rate that the bank gave us, and I estimated that last phase. So that's 844, we complete the payment for phase 2, 3, and 4.
Correct.
The annual payment for those 3 phases.
Correct.
That's what we're adding. So now the budget will carry the payment for the 3 phases.
I understand that. However, we bring in the number still voted was $2,061,000.
Not in the fiscal 26 voted budget. It wasn't, it was a $1,061,000. $1,061,000. I understand why you're confused because the.
Well, no, because to me, that's like a CBA. To me, that's the same thing as a CBA. If we approve a CBA, say this year for $2,150,000, and the budget gets lowered, that would be like you saying, I'm gonna take $1 million out of that CBA because we had to lower the budget. It's still there. It's
Shoot.
still being raised and appropriated.
let-
Sheila, I know you
Budget.
disagree, and I think we've got an avenue for me to get you a written legal opinion. We're
And
talking
I'm
about the same thing.
I'm gonna let Mr. Belo, because I think I understand your frustration with the lease payment. I think we need to wait and hear from the documentation from legal. Because we can't go round and round asking the same thing for 15 minutes. We heard your point, we understand your frustration, I'm gonna go to Mr. Belo.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'm just gonna mention that, I may be wrong here, but, the legal works for the school board.
Right.
They don't work for us.
Correct.
So we can't go to them to ask for what they gave the school board to justify their work unless the school board says it's okay. So don't be surprised if we don't see anything. That's all I'm mentioning.
Thank you.
Do you not want something? What? Do you not want something?
No, I'm just saying. No, I mean,
He's
ask.
just making it clear.
I'm just making it clear, legal does not work for us,
Right, it's a school board.
right? The legal would have, I would think they'd have to at least go through Justin to the school board to ask permission to give us anything.
That's how it works.
That's how it will.
So will you be bringing
happen.
that at our next school board meeting?
If it can benefit this group, and if it would give some credence to what I've already communicated to you, absolutely.
Any other comments or questions about the budget?
Moving on from the lease.
Do you have any thoughts or questions about the lease? Okay, yeah, we can keep moving on.
So I have a question about the default budget. I understand it's a calculation. It's mandated by the state. The numbers that are used in that calculation, the budget numbers from the prior fiscal year.
The previous voted budget?
Correct. Previous voted budget. Numbers that are used are the numbers as voted at the start of the year, correct? So
Driving with your rearview mirror.
The default budget that's been calculated for us today, it's 90 and change.
90 and a half.
That doesn't take into account budget transfers, is that correct?
No, budget transfers are not an addition to the budget, it's just between the lines in the budget, moving from one line to the other, but the line of the budget never changes.
Sure. So am I correct that $1.5 million was just moved in the current budget?
We just moved $1.5 million that exhausted 37 special education positions, leaving 0 open and vacant special education positions left that we're advertising for, to cover the contracts that we're currently engaged in for needs kids have this year.
To fill that need?
To pay for the contracts filling that need from now to the end of the school year.
Sure. So is it accurate to say that there's a need for contracted services because of the lack of open positions, correct?
I think the last meeting, Brian, if you remember, I think for Sheila's question, maybe a meeting before that, we had mapped out for you the number of FTEs in the contracted services versus what we had hired versus what's in the budget. And I think the conclusion that we all had is there are more needs for kids that are currently within the operating budget. That was the conclusion of this group.
So is it fair to say that there's a correlation between the services that have been contracted this year to fill the need and the increased contracted services in the proposed budget?
I would say it this way: the staff that we have right now filling those needs that are our staff, and the staff that we're contracting for are in the voted 25 budget and would move to the default budget. But what we couldn't do is adjust those contracts at all, or account for the increase that those contracts are gonna see. Does that answer what you're looking for?
So I'm just trying to understand if the default budget is basically, right, because it's based on this current year.
Yep.
So where is that $1.5 million, right? So we've taken.
Sitting in the salaries in fiscal 26 that
Sure.
will move to the default in fiscal 27.
Sure. So it's still there in fiscal 27 default,
Yes.
and we're adding 2 million and change for contracted services.
I don't know if that's the number, if that's what it is.
Is that correct?
We're adding 2.3.
Oh, Jack, I'm sorry. I should.
So what I'm trying to understand is, are we budgeting twice? Because we're saying we have the needs for these people. We have the open positions that we're trying to fill for those needs. And if we can't find them, we contract them. So I'm asking you to help me understand is the default
I
budget
think
having
I
the
can-
money in the salaries and benefits and the employee positions and the contracted services?
No, it is not double budgeting for positions. Here's what I think that you are, let me try to make this clear. What was the reduction for generally contracted services or special education through the voted budget?
Oh, the 26 voted budget, we took $1 million,
$1 million and something?
yeah,
Okay.
I don't know exactly.
So we made a reduction there, right? And I think we were very clear that we were taking risks when we were doing that. I think we used that word 5 or 6 times at this group last year. I think also what we need to look at is when we presented to the school board last meeting, Brian, we're giving them the dashboard, second meetings, right? If anyone watched that board meeting, you understand it's the first meeting that we projected an expense that is beyond the current budget number. Okay. So we are forecasting that there's a need here in special education this year. You see it as a double booking for next year. We see it as being really cognizant of what's going on this year and needing those things to continue into the next year, after $1 million reduction to get to this voted budget. I am so certain at the number of positions for contracted services and the people running those numbers right now and how they tie into needs. It's why we decided to move $1.5 million at once instead of doing it as the district has done it in the past in these little pieces back and forth. We can do it now because we are certain that we're going to be spending that money on these people that are already contracted in our schools working with us. So it comes from a place of certainty.
So the other question that I had, so we have the table that you had put together last time about the needs and what we have, right? When you look at what was spent, say in 24 and then in 25, there's a significant increase there in contracted services for special education needs. And what you're telling me is that drastic increase in need still exists today.
100%.
Hence what you just outlined. Is it possible to explain sort of, I understand we're being told there's a need that has to be satisfied. What I would like to understand is, how is that determined? How is that calculated? Is that number of hours of?
So in every individual education plan has what's called a service grid. And that is the services that the school district is providing to that student. Those services could be provided by a speech and language pathologist, any one of those folks right there, right? And in that service grid it's the number of times per week and the number of minutes per session. So there's a total amount of time. We quantify that stuff. And what we do as we were planning these things is we're tallying those things. How many direct speech and language hours do we have? How many consult hours for speech do we have? And then the next degradation of that, Brian, is, okay, we've got 4 buildings. How are we going to staff them around their schedule so these people are available to serve these kids outside of core instruction?
Mm-hmm.
Or when are they going to be available to consult with the teachers when the teacher's not teaching the class and they're on their prep and planning time? So that's the other layer of those things. But yeah, we are quantifying that stuff to the minute of service that we have entered into a legal contract with the family that we've determined that the child needs this in terms of specialized instruction. That could be counselors delivering those services. It could be special education teachers, reading specialists. But those services are presented as a team, discussed, and either determined not to meet the need or determined to meet the need. If it meets the need, it's in the service grid.
So is there, I mean, would it be possible to have a high level macro view of that data over time?
Over time, I'm hesitant to say in Timberlane. I don't know how far I can usually go back, and I find like there's walls once I go beyond like when I'm here or the folks that I've hired that are doing that work. I know we have those numbers now because I know we're using them to project what we need. So it's certainly something I could give you now. I don't even know if I can get back into last year, Brian, to be honest with you.
Okay.
High level data, service delivery, kind of accumulating hours and things.
That'd be fantastic.
It'll be informative.
Yes, I'm sure.
I think Ginger reported out last time, I think we had 40,000 nurse visits last year or something like that. So that's the type of stuff that we can quantify.
Sabrina?
I think it's tough to see the need. I mean, I'm a pre-K teacher in a private school, right? And we have kids that are getting services, right, at that young age. They're going out for speech and they're going out for OT and PT at that young age, right? So it's tough to see, because these kids have IEPs and 504s and these things are being identified for them. So I don't know if it's something you can really graph necessarily because it depends on the kids. I see more kids now than, at this age coming through than had ever happened, right? But they're 4 or 5 years old, still learning to speak. And this isn't a public, this is private. So when these kids come over to the public schools with IEPs and 504s, then they're legally binding to provide those services. I think it's definitely increased across the board, what is for a need
I
out there.
refer, for my job, have referred more kids in the last 18 months than I have in the last 7 years of where I work. The needs are great. I've got kids who get 6 units of speech a week. That's a lot of units. OT, nursing services. I've got a couple who have social work services built in because
I mean, there's
there are
4 or
needs.
5-year-olds that you can't even understand them speaking,
Mhm.
you know?
Yeah.
And they're coming this way.
Yeah,
Sooner.
so, we do the best we can with what's given. Any other comments? Yes, sir.
Just want to talk about next steps, Liz.
Mhm.
If we get there, that we've got 2 more meetings, I think, in December, the 11th, and then the budget committee had a joint meeting with the school board on the 15th.
No, that it's
We're gonna
the
switch that,
11th.
switch it.
Well, I alluded to that earlier. Is that something the budget committee wants to do?
Is
I didn't
that
hear.
something we would like to do, or do we want to keep the 11th and the 15th and then the 22nd?
I think moving them sooner is probably.
Yeah, I'd like to see what the warrant articles are on the CBAs. So can we just get a consensus that that's what we would like to do? Yes? No? You don't care?
I've been on this board for such a short period of time, my opinion doesn't count, so I abstain.
Okay, so I guess, yep, the 11th is good.
All right, so we will, we'll look to try to secure, obviously, the PAC over there. I think that's where you've held joint meetings in the past, or have they been here?
We've had them here
You
before.
got 'em here? Okay,
Yeah.
great, done.
Yeah. It'll
Awesome.
just be cozy.
Hey, these
Yeah.
tables move so we can accommodate.
And
Yeah.
then are we gonna keep the meeting on the 15th for the budget committee?
Do we want to keep it so we can have a conversation about the budget after we know what the warrant articles are? And then that will
Yes.
give us a couple of meetings to discuss what we want to present at the public hearing.
That's excellent. So we'll change the postings for.
Yes,
you guys.
please, sir. Any other business to come before us? Are you all set, sir?
I have nothing else. Thank you.
All right, is a virtual walkthrough December 10th at the middle school. December 11th, we'll do our joint meeting, the 15th is a budget meeting, the 22nd. Public hearing is January 15th, and the deliberative session is February 5th. If there's nothing else to come before the committee, meeting is adjourned. Have a great Thanksgiving, everyone.